So I've been thinking lately about villains. More importantly, my favorite villains. It's a pretty tough question, but it's one that I really wanted to think about. And after a lot of consideration, I think I've settled on a list that I'm pretty happy with. Since I've had a lot to say, I figured I might as well finally make a video. I've been saying I'd do one of these forever, like, oh, I'm gonna make a video, well, I finally did! I've sorted out a list of my top 15 favorite villains, and I think I'll be going over them from least favorite to most favorite. But before we get into the list, I have a ton of honorable mentions. It just wouldn't be right for me not to mention them, because this whole thing is about recognizing all the villains I love. And, 15 is a good number, but there's just a ton of other guys I want to talk about. So, I won't be going too much into them, but first off, we got Toffee from Star vs. the Forces of Evil. I actually don't remember a lot about Toffee, unfortunately. I just remember he was very cool, and I loved him. It was very tragic what happened to Star vs. But, I think what we did get with Toffee was really good. Then we got Commander Tartar from Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion. I love Octo Expansion. He's really here just for my Octo Expansion bias, but I still do really like him. I think he's really cool. I like his whole plan. I like the way he gets you to like build your own death machine. I think that's really cool. Also, his final boss is really fun. Lord Business from the Lego Movie. I don't really have a lot to say about Lord Business. I just think he's really funny, and I also love when he's serious. Like the scene when he's with Bad Cop, fucking getting him to Craggle his parents. That's great. I love that scene. Really, all of Lord Business's scenes. I love them all. But also, I really do like his arc as well. Yeah. Rectangular Businessman and the shadowy figure from 12-Ounce Mouse. I watched 12-Ounce Mouse a while ago, just on a whim, and I can't lie, I really liked it. And these guys, definitely a big part of it. I just think they're very fun characters. Rectangular Businessman, he's very fun. And then the shadowy figure, he's very cool. There's not much else to say about them, but I did really want to mention them. Ancient Minister from Subspace Emissary. I love Rob. I'm just biased. Taboo is probably better, but I don't care. Octavo from Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necrodancer featuring The Legend of Zelda. It's been way too long since I've played Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necrodancer featuring The Legend of Zelda, but I remember really liking Octavo a lot. I really gotta replay this game someday. Robbie Rotten from Lazy Town. This one's not really a meme pick, I just think he's really fun. I always liked him a lot as a kid. The Green Skeleton from Stuck Inside Green Skeleton Verse. This one is a meme pick. I'm sorry, I just love him. Evil Carl from Phineas and Ferb Where's Perry 2-parter special. I gotta be the only one who loves Evil Carl. I don't know what it is. I've just always loved this guy. There's just something about good guys turning evil. I don't know. I probably also just had a crush on him as a kid. I don't know. Herobrine from Minecraft. No particular version of Herobrine here. I just think he's really cool in any context. Rob from The Amazing World of Gumball. Not a whole lot to say about Rob, I just really fuck with him. I think he's really cool. Rumpelstiltskin from Shrek Forever After. I just think he's a really fun guy. I also really like how calculated he is in making everything go his way. Honestly, he's a huge part of why I love this movie. Yeah, he's just a very fun villain. Death and Jack Horner from Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I like them both a lot. I don't really have a lot to say about them, but I do really like them. They're very cool guys. Very fun villains. Mort from, well, I mean, I never watched Madagascar. I just really love the way the Theorizer talks about Mort. So this is more so like Mort in the Theorizer lore. But I do love like villain, evil, fucked up Mort. Go watch Mort Theory. It's great. Koopa General from the Super Mario Brothers movie. I have a very, very love-hate relationship with this guy. I didn't really think of him through most of the movie. I didn't really care. But when he said, you can't escape me, Bloosh, it was over. When he said it, it was over. But the more I get worked up over this and like pretend to be very like pissed off about it, the more I just really love talking about this guy. It's just my little silly obsession. I like him a lot. I hope he comes back in the sequel. Bartholomew from my Amiibo lore. Okay, so when I was a kid, I played with my Amiibos a lot as toys, you know? Had a whole world with whole lore, big narrative, and okay. So Lucas was the main character, and he had the ability to create portals into another dimension. And yeah, so I did the multiverse before it was cool. Lots of dimensions. And so, anyways, one day I wanted to have an evil Lucas. Even though, honestly, Lucas was already morally corrupt. So one day I introduced Bartholomew, who is Lucas's, like, evil brother or something. I can't remember if he actually ever did anything evil. But he did make a snobby, fine dining, fancy restaurant called Bartholomew's Fancy Eatery, where he charged customers bajillions of dollars to order anything. Does that count? It's like run by his army of clones that he made by cloning himself. And there's so many clones that we don't know where the original Bartholomew is anymore. Anyways, there's a whole bunch of stuff about Bartholomew. I really like Bartholomew. Can I just have this? Can I have this, guys? Come on. And then finally, we have Professor Marmalade from The Bad Guys. Now, admittedly, when I first watched the movie, the twist made me groan. It was like, okay, whatever. But I think it happens at like a good point in the movie where it's like, he still has half the runtime to be fucked up and evil. And I think when he is fucked and evil, he's really fun. Admittedly, he's mostly just here because of the one line where he's like,
I never cared about what's good, only what's good for me. Like, say, $1 billion. Ooh, I just got a tingle.
I love that line. And that's all the honorable mentions. Well, not all of them. There's a few more, but I've decided to wait until later to mention them. I decided that for the main list, I should probably only have one entry per series. And there were a few cuts because of this, so I'll bring them up whenever we get to whoever took their spot. I guess with all that done, we can finally get into the main list! Tears of the Kingdom was a really great game. The story... I mean, it's not like it was awful, it just, you know, could have been way better. That being said, though, Tears of the Kingdom Ganondorf's awesome! I love him! He's so cool! Definitely the best part of the story, you know? He's so cool in his cutscenes, and I don't know, I just love him! He's so cool! But what really brings him up here is the final boss fight, man. I love the final boss. One of my favorite final bosses, gotta be. It's just such a good fight. The fight alone puts him on this list. He's only this down because I don't really think about him much outside of the fight. The fight's really all I think about when I think of the guy. But yeah. I mean, yeah. So, bit of a spoiler warning. I mean, this is like the only one I'm gonna do this for. But this next one is about Ace Attorney, which, you know, that's like a whole mystery game. The whole point is that you don't know. Yeah, it's a mystery game. The whole point is that you're finding out. So, like, skip this section if you haven't played Ace Attorney, or don't. I'm not your mom. Anyways, yeah. So a few years back, I decided I'd finally check out the Ace Attorney series, and I immediately loved it. There's a lot of great villains in the games, and I really wanted to have just the series represented here. It was tough to decide who would be a good fit. You know, at first I was thinking maybe Matt on Guard, since he's like the main antagonist of my favorite case in the series. But the more I thought about it, there's only one guy it can be. It's gotta be Manfred von Karma. He just has such a strong presence to him, and he does so much for making Turnabout Goodbyes as great as it is. I think what made me decide to pick him over On Guard is really just his impact on everything. Von Karma really sets a lot of things into motion, not just for Turnabout Goodbyes, but also just the entire series. It's hard to put into words, but if you've played the games, you know what I mean by that. But yeah, I just think Von Karma's a really cool villain. It's not just video games on this list. There's some really good TV and movie villains on here as well. Recently, I watched the Green Eggs and Ham cartoon on Netflix. I'm sorry. I just realized. I didn't script this part. I realized how dumb so I watched the Green Eggs and Ham cartoon. It's pretty damn good, honestly. I'm glad I watched it too, because it let me witness the GOAT. The GOAT from Green Eggs and Ham 2019 is my favorite character in the show. I love him so much. So, again, I presume most of you have not seen Green Eggs and Ham 2019. So for context, halfway through the show, there's a bounty hunter that gets hired to catch Guy and Sam. Being the GOAT, of course. The GOAT is the bounty hunter. It's like this cheesy, badass GOAT who is like the most ruthless bounty hunter in the world. And he's got this one really good bit that I just... I love his bit so much. I wish I could describe it, but it's kind of hard to describe since it's like so different in every instance it comes up. But like, if you've seen the show, you know what I mean when I say he has a bit. Honestly, I just recommend checking out the show. It's just really good. Definitely the best Seuss adaptation, honestly. Like, I'd say it's even better than like all the old Seuss adaptations. Admittedly, maybe the GOAT shouldn't be this high on the list, but I love him too much to put him any lower. When I was a kid, I got this really cool game on the DS called The Legendary Starfy. You may have heard of him. He's the guy from Smash Brothers. And recently he got his games on the Switch. Good job, Starfy. Good job. Go you. Anyway, so in this game, there's really fun bad guys, Snips, Wonk, and Papes. They form the Terrible Trio. It's probably cheating for me to put all three of them on here, but I think they're best as a collective. I guess if I had to pick a favorite, it'd probably be Snips. I love Snips, she's very cool. But yeah, all three of them are just very fun villains. And they're one of the few villains on here who actually get a redemption arc. And usually, you know, I love just being like, oh, I love when guys are evil. But I think these guys do a redemption arc, like, really well. I really like their redemption arc. I just really like their bond and just their role in the story. I'm definitely biased in this pick because, you know, Starfield was just my childhood game, but I don't care. It's my list. I can be biased. Earlier this year, I decided to just play Mother 3 on a whim. And yeah, it's a really great game. The combat's fun, story's really good, the characters are great. But you know, Mother 3. Anyways, when it came time to make this list, I was thinking about just who are villains that really stick out to me, and Porky's gotta be one of them. He's just so far gone and insane. He's probably the most evil person on those lists. I hate this man so much. It's great. I love hating this guy. He is like the guy you love to hate. And his fate, dude, gotta be one of like the best parts of Mother 3. Honestly, it's honestly incredible that I went unspoiled on what happens to Porky, because like, holy shit. I mean, if you have somehow managed to like go unspoiled and don't know what happens, I just recommend going to play the game. Honestly, it's a really good game. I really liked it, and I mean that's crazy. Like, cause I'm a girly who doesn't really play games like that much. Anyways. Yeah, Porky's just a really great villain. The only reason he's not any higher is just because I love everyone else a lot more on this game. Now, when it comes to Nintendo franchises, I can't lie. I've always loved ARMS. The game itself may have its flaws, but I just love the world and its characters. Aww. Mechanica is probably my favorite, but Dr. Coyle comes really close. She is so cool. I think of her as like a really fucked up and like crazy science lady, and I really like me some fucked up, crazy science girlies. I really hope that she gets to interact more with Mechanica in the future. I think those two have maybe like the best character dynamic potential of any two ARMS characters. Admittedly, my love for Dr. Coyle is mostly just headcanons and her design, but I don't care. It still counts. But yeah, I just love Dr. Coyle. Hoping ARMS 2! ARMS 2! Give it up for ARMS 2! Dr. Coyle's gonna get a much more impactful role. That'd be nice. What even is there for me to say about Undertale? Honestly, I just think Flowey's pretty dang cool. I wish I had a lot more to say about him, but it's kind of hard for me to really form my thoughts on Undertale. Because I just, you know, I don't know how I feel about it a lot of the time. Or, well, I do, I don't know how to put it in words, you know? I guess just, like, Omega Flowey goes really hard, Asriel's really cool, love how he's written and goes about doing things. I love his backstory, all that shit. I just really like Flally. I wish there was more for me to say about him, but, you know how it is. This isn't necessarily taken into consideration here, but I also do really like his characterization in Undertale Yellow as well. Go play Undertale Yellow if you haven't, it's really good. That doesn't count for why I'm putting Flally here. I just felt it worth mentioning, because it's a really good characterization of him. I actually rewatched Beauty and the Beast just for this project. And yeah, I'd say Gaston is still a guy I really like a lot. He used to be my #1 favorite villain way back then in the day. But I think he's kind of fallen off a bit, especially since he's pretty much just like Andrew Tate before Andrew Tate. That aside, though, I can't help but love the guy. He's just so self-absorbed and bold, and I love his attitude about things. There's no way I didn't secretly have a crush on this guy at one point. I think it's incredibly telling about me that my favorite Disney song is the one about the guy being praised for how amazing he is. There's definitely some projection there. Really the main thing, holding back Gaston, aside from the rise of, dumb Alpha, Sigma, Ligma male mindset, all that, it's really just, it kind of drops off in the second half of the film. Like, I love the mob song. But other than that, I think he kind of gets totally sidelined by Belle's relationship with the Beast. Which that's just, like, much more compelling in the second half of the film. And that's a bit unfortunate that he kind of gets, like, shafted like that. That's really it, though. I still love Gaston. I think he's very fun, even if he's just #8 now. Have you ever heard of Big City Greens? It's one of those shows that came to television, like, right after society ditched cable. And it's one of those shows that you wouldn't really ever watch if it wasn't just on TV. That being said, I really love the show, honestly. It's probably my favorite, like, modern Disney show. And one of these days, I really want to make a video where I, like, rank every episode. So, like, in Big City Greens, there's this really fucked up lady, Gwendolyn Zapp. She's so mentally ill, I love her so much. Admittedly, she is just kinda Elon Musk. She's an Elon Musk parody, but I think she manages to be, like, so fun with how crazy it is, like, how crazy she is, I can just ignore it. She recently starred as the main antagonist of the Big City Greens TV movie, and oh my god, she's so good in it! Go look up her villain song, and you will understand everything. You will understand immediately why I love her. Anyways, yeah, I love Gwendolyn Zapp. One of these days, I will make ranking every episode of Big City Greens. It will happen. Crazy how we've gone this long without any Mario villains. Let's change that. When I was a kid, I loved Paper Mario. I still do. Super Paper Mario was one of the earliest experiences with games that I can really remember, and I played a ton of Paper Mario 64 on Wii Virtual Console. And as I've grown up, I've seen so much fondness held for those first 3 games, and it's quite deserved. However, if you know anything about me, you'll know that I love Paper Mario: The Origami King. It has its flaws for sure, but I think its writing and its characters are among my favorite in the franchise. I, for one, think King Ollie is an awesome villain! I love his design, I love his writing, I love the way he goes about getting his way. He's a big part of why I love the Origami King so much. I love the dynamic between him and Olivia, especially with like how Olivia is helping out Mario to stop King Ollie. I think that's really cool. I think his lore is really cool as well. I mean, if you play the game, you might go, oh, Zoe, that lore is like kind of nothing. I don't care. I think it's cool. Honestly, I think Origami King just gets too much of a bad rap, because it's probably my second favorite Paper Mario game, just behind the original 64. Now, I know a lot of people hate the Legion of Stationery, but god damn it, I just think they're really cool too. I think Scissors stands out as my favorite one of them. I love how he just kills Bowser Jr. like holy shit. I didn't expect them to do like anything like that. I love the body horror of the Paper Mistake Buzzy Beetle. He's so cool. I love Scissors' personality and how cocky he is in his battle. Oh my god, his battle. Easily the coolest boss fight in the game. The way he like cuts Mario in half is so fucking cool. But it's also just really satisfying when you like jump over that attack. I didn't mean to talk more about the honorable mention than the main pick. Whoops. But yeah, I really love King Ollie. I think he's got to be up there in terms of my favorite villains. I'll throw you a bone if it makes anyone feel better. I will say that I did quite like the question marks guy from Thousand Year Door when I played the remake earlier this year. He's pretty cool. He's pretty cool. Gotta be an honorable mention for sure. Last year, 2023, I placed a curse upon my soul. I decided one day that it would be a great idea to read Homestuck. And well, yeah, it's pretty good, mostly. I may not be a big fan of the direction they took it, but that first half is up there. It's one of my favorite pieces of media. And that's in large part to Jack Nor. Oh man, this man, I love him so much. He's so damn cool. Gotta be one of my favorite villains ever. I'd love to go on and on about why I love this man. But actually, experiencing Jack Nor blind was something that I hold very dear to me. And I'd hate to potentially ruin what that makes this man so damn cool. So that's about all I have to say on him. Just know that, like, it is easily the greatest moment in the entire comic for me. I wouldn't recommend going to read Homestuck, though. Oh yeah, honorable mention. This is the last one. But I must say, Doc Scratch is another guy that I think is really cool. I hate how he got replaced, but I quite enjoyed every moment with him before then. He may not be anywhere near as cool as Jack, but I do still love him, and I feel like he's worth mentioning. Hopefully that's the last time I ever have to talk about Homestuck. There's one game that I truly believe is the closest humanity will ever get to the perfect video game. It may not be my top favorite game, but but I think Portal 2 is extremely perfect in everything it does. There's a lot I could say about Portal 2 if I thought more about it, but for now, all that really matters is that it has easily the greatest execution of a twist villain I've ever seen. Wheatley is just such a fun character, even before his twist, but his villain arc took him from a little guy, a fun little guy, to a really fun little guy, who's also like a little fucked up in a really good way. I love all his shenanigans, and his writing, and his vocal performance. All of it really just makes him one of my absolute favorite parts of Portal 2. I don't really know what else I can say about this guy, but he's just a really fun, great villain with pretty much no downsides. Bowser's Inside Story is probably my favorite game of all time. I just love everything about it. All the characters are just at their best here, the story's great, the gameplay's really fun, there's a lot to love here. Amongst it all, there's Fawful. Oh man, Fawful! Throughout this whole list, you'll notice that I really like fun villains a lot. And Fawful just might be the most fun villain of any of the guys on here. It's just such a joy at every moment, but also poses like a real threat, and you can still take him seriously. His plan is just so cool too. Man spends like 3 games plotting his rise to power, and he executes it so well. Like, he is winning for most of the game. It is great. All of that leads to him awakening the Dark Star, which, holy shit, the Dark Star is, like, really cool, even on his own. I really fuck with the Dark Star. But then you get him stealing Bowser's DNA to form Dark Bowser, and it's like, holy shit. Gotta be one of the hardest Mario characters ever. He is so cool! And it's like, Fawful did that! Fawful worked his way up to the top, and led to the creation of one of the sickest final bosses ever! Oh, dude, the final boss is so cool! And then after all of that, Fawful uses his final moments to try to take out Mario and Luigi with him? What a way to go out! Anyways, yeah, I love Fawful. From his insane quotability to his awesome plan, Fawful's easily one of my top favorite villains for sure. From my favorite game of all time to my favorite show of all time, let's talk about OKKO. It's a really cool show about heroes, but what are heroes without villains? There's a lot of cool villains in OKKO, but none of them can compare to Tumblr sexy man himself, Professor Venomous. Oh my god, I love him so much! First of all, he is purple. I love purple. But also, he's just like really cool. He's got a cool voice, and got a bunch of cool chemicals, and he's got a cool minion, and also he's gay, which, hell yeah! So if you've never seen OKKO, go ahead and skip to the next section, I'm about to spoil something, but if you're chill with getting spoiled or whatever, I just want to say, the big reveal is really cool. I fuck with it so much. Like, you're telling me this cool villain guy who is super hot, who I already love, is also KO's dad? Like, really flipping cool. I love just how much is set up in the show, too. Like, even from his, like, first appearance in the show, they already are hinting towards it. Oh, and his dynamic with KO is just so cool. I love their, like, hero son, villain dad thing going on. I guess also I can't really talk about Professor Venomous without going into the shadowy figure. Now, I may not fuck with shadowy figure as much as I fuck with Professor Venomous, but he is also very cool. On his own, he's just a cool little guy. But then we get shadowy Venomous, which, holy shit, they made him even hotter? Okay, I'm sorry, I admit it. I just think Professor Venomous is hot. I can't help it, he is! It sucks that I didn't really talk more about, like, Professor Venomous's motivations and such, about power and such, because I think all that's really cool as well. But yeah, I love Professor Venomous so damn much. I guess Laser Blast exists too. I don't really care about Laser Blast though, so yeah. But if Professor Venomous is only number 2, then who could be number 1?
In fact, I'm not even here.
Rube Goldfish, the bane of my existence, the true villain of SpongeBob SquarePants. This man has more power than you could even imagine. He is God.
Nah, I'm just kidding. Let's get on to the real number 1. Oh, man. I know what I said. I said only one villain per series. But come on! You can't expect me to talk about my favorite villains and not talk about flipping Bowser, dude! Dude, I swear to God, this guy is just so damn cool! For starters, just look at him! How can you not love him already? Like, and then you get his characterization, and it's like, holy shit, this guy is so cool! Easily the best Mario character, and I'll fight you on that. Paper Mario 64 is probably my favorite execution of this guy, at least as a villain. He's just so silly and fun and charming in that game, but he's also a real menace. The game lets Bowser win, and I love it. Like, holy shit, he was not messing around in that game. Then, of course, we loop back to Bowser's inside story, and he is for sure the best part of that game. Oh my god, you're telling me we get to play as Bowser? Not only that, he's sick as hell with some of the most fun personality he's ever had. Look at me and tell me this man isn't cool. You can't. Oh, and the movie? Oh, I loved him in the movie. Him and Luigi were probably my favorite parts of that whole film. Now, when I say Luigi, I just mean him as a character, not the Bowluigi stuff. Don't get me wrong, I am a Bowluigi shipper. That's just not what I meant by the statement. But yeah, Bowser is easily my top favorite villain of all time. There is no question about it. There's more I could say about this man, but honestly, I just go on and on for way too long. I have just always loved this man, and I always will. I'm very excited. I can't wait to see what else Nintendo has for this man in the future. I love him so much. So that's my list. I'm sure a lot of these were like pretty predictable if you know me. But I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble about all these little guys that I love. Sorry if it got a bit, like, repetitive. I'm not very good at phrasing my thoughts, so a lot of it's like, oh, this guy's fun, this guy's cool. Yeah. Hopefully I can start actually finishing video ideas that I have like this more often. I wasn't kidding earlier. I really do want to review every episode of Big City Greens. It'll happen someday. I'll make sure of it. Anyways, yeah, that's about it. Thanks for sticking around. Bye!